ongi etorria, lehendakari jauna. And so now we are going to step to our next and the last case speaker. She's Hind Kabawat. She's the director of interfaith peacebuilding from George Mason University. And the presentation will be about the importance of peace education during the after conflicts, which is a key issue also for us. So very welcome, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody, and my thanks to Deusto University for hosting us, especially me. When the conflict started in Syria, I have a very close Norwegian colleague of mine, and I started talking about national dialogue debate. He told me, go learn from the Basque. They're the best in dialogue. So yesterday, in this beautiful event, and thank you for this nice event, I sent him a picture. He told me, too late. Not too late, but I'm glad that you're learning. And I learned a lot in the last 2 days from all those amazing women and professors and students are here, and they're doing a great job. Thank you, Your Excellency, for being here. I'm glad that I included a little bit of politics in my presentation, so it's not about only education. So I'm going to talk a little bit about politics, about the peace process, about geopolitics. So it will be half an hour. I hope I won't bore you too much with my country. And forgive me if I'm going to be a little bit emotional. My country this morning being under the bombs. In Idlib, we have millions of refugees and IDPs are at the border trying to escape from death. It's winter, and they're starving. They have no place to go. So, us as a politicians, as a women politicians, we believe our clients are the Syrian people, and our bosses are the Syrian people. So today I'm going to speak from my heart about the struggle, about what's happening in Syria, and also the solution. Yesterday, the director, you talk about education can be a threat to dictatorship. But critical education can be more threatened to the totalitarian regimes. Before 2011, I've been raised in Damascus, in the old city of Damascus. Education for us is be in the classroom. You don't ask questions. You don't ask any critical questions. You don't get out of the box. You just sit down and get your degree and your certificate. There is no debate. There is no discussions. There is no project, nothing. In 2011, the Syrian people were watching the TV, and they did see the Arab Spring. People, they hate these terms. People, they like this term. Us, who work in civil society and education as a lawyer, for us, we have to listen to the street, what they want. The first time in my life I heard the word freedom in the street of Damascus. I live near the cathedral, the Orthodox cathedral in Damascus. At the wall, I read freedom. For me, it was kind of breath of fresh air after all those years to see freedom. So the people went to the street with flowers, non-violently, for 6 months. The reaction of the Syrian government were very harsh. And for us who are watching, and human rights activists and human rights lawyers, it breaks our heart Because what we see in Egypt and Tunisia didn't happen the same here in Syria. And remember, in Syria, it's different. We are a multi-faith society. We have Christian, we have Muslims, we have Shiite, we have Druze. In my old city of Damascus, remind me of Sarajevo, the beautiful city where we got the Jewish living near the Christian and the Catholic and the Orthodox. We all lived together. In the first 6 months, I did see my friend from multi-faith in the street calling for freedom. Yes, things didn't go well. After 9 years, next week will be the 9 years of conflict in Syria. We have a result of millions of refugees and IDP. 80% of the country is being completely destroyed. We have 250,000 detainees, and you know, you are a human rights lawyer, you know how difficult it is, the detainees file and disappeared people. We have now, economically, $1 is 1,000 Syrian pounds with all the sanctions happening to Syria. The Lord of Wars are getting richer. People with good family, they have nothing now. The situation in Damascus and others is also bad as in the north. Syria, the map of Syria. I'm going to stop here to talk a little bit about the geopolitics, how it affects our conflict. It used to be revolution, and we call it revolution because we went with the flowers, young people went to talk about democracy, about rule of law, about equality, social justice. This is a dream, to have a country where we can be respected as people, and to end up in a destroyed country. It's breaks my heart. But when we talk about geopolitics, there is this caricature a few weeks ago about the map of Syria, and they say traffic jam, and they put the US flags, Iranian flags, the Turkish flags, and we have US, of course, and we have Iran, so, and the Kurds. All those armies are getting into the countries. So it's a jam. And of course, we have all the influence of the Qataris, and the Saudis, and also the Turks, because of all the refugees there. We have the Lebanese problem with all the refugees there. And they have no education. They are in Arsal, stuck. We got in Jordan. We got the Rukban IDP camp where there is 50% of those people there are women. We are really stuck with all this. So each one of those countries has an interest in Syria. The geopolitics where we are, we got the Iraqis and the Turks in the north, we got in the south, we got Israel, of course, and Jordan. So this geopolitics and the interest of Russia to get the port of Tartus and Latakia. And of course, it will come that story of the minorities. What will happen to us? Me as a Christian, I can tell you, in the time of my father, Christians were 20% of the population. When the Ba'ath Party came, 1963, started decreasing 15%. In 2000, we were 7%, and now we were less than 2%. I was talking with my bishop, and he told me there is no men anymore in Syria. Christian men, they don't want to fight this ugly fight. So we have the minorities, we got the ethnics, like the Kurds problem too. It's the Kurds, they want now their own country, they want their own independence. So it's getting complicated. And I read that Kenneth Waltz, this amazing politician, say once, asking who won in this giving war is like asking who won in San Francisco earthquake. In our war in Syria, nobody won. We're all lost. Syrian people lost the most. And we are defeated nation. This morning I woke up and I heard again the bomb, and I read the New York Times yesterday, also Idlib in the first. And I'm saying, this is the price of freedom and rule of law. This was a very expensive price we paid. Let me now talk a little bit about what's happening. We cannot finish the war without a peace process. We need to have a negotiation to end the conflict. And I heard my Bosnian colleague, Dayton, we teach it and we try to learn from it. And for us, it's also always a learning experience to see fight and death can just lead us to more death, more violence. So we need to be at the negotiation table. So in 2015, the countries, the US, France, England, they all met and they decided we need to end this war and we need to do a negotiation. So they get to do a high negotiation committee, which I got elected to represent the independent bloc. And there is the UN Security Council 2254, where they are indicating that we need to have a negotiation with all parties. Everybody should be at the table. You cannot exclude anybody. And they talk about transitional government, and they talk also about constitution, new constitution, and election. In my capacity then, in 2016 and 17, I was responsible for the legal committee, plus the civil society and the women file. We fought to have 30% quotas for the women. And I always remember this story because it's kind of, when we were fighting for the 30% quotas to be at the negotiation table, one of our colleagues said, do you have a qualified woman to be at the table? So this is when I decided we're going to have. And that's why I'll talk with you later about my program, about our program. So in 2254, then we have Geneva. We got like 8 rounds in Geneva. The regime Syrian government did not want to negotiate with the opposition. As you remember, we have a good mediator then, Deusto, who tried his best. We couldn't. Then we have Astana. Astana, the 3 countries, Iran, Turkey, and Russia, decided we're going to have in Astana a parallel, and we're going to start talking about the detainees then and the ceasefire. Us, we refused to have the file of the detainees in Astana. We wanted to be in Geneva under the UN protection. But still, the Russians are not agreeing about this. Talking about Syria, it's not been easy. I wake every morning. I have 100 reasons not to continue my day. I say, we lost everything, let me go back to my day job. But I have also 1 million reasons to continue the fight for the good fight. One of them is the education. Being now in Geneva with the High Negotiation Committee and working in the specific files, give me a little bit of leverage to talk with my university, to tell them why not create a good program. So we link the women on the grassroots with the process in Geneva and others. So we created, with George Mason University, the Center of World Religion, this program. And it is a certified program. So when they finish 60 hours, with 15 hours practice, they can get the degree. And in our team of teaching, we have priests, we have Jewish colleagues, we got Muslim scholars, we have human rights lawyers. We tried to have women and colleagues from all religions. Plus, we linked Syria after 9 years of separation. Because now if you see, the Northeast is with the US, the North are with Turkey, South are more now with the regime plus the Russian, and they have Iranian and part of their Zor. So the country is being separated by this government and from other armed group and countries. But we decided to link all those women together in a program. I remember last year, the first orientation, so I'm sitting on my Skype because the program, we took this program out of the Baha'is program in Iran when they won't let, the Iranian regime won't let the Baha'is to study. So the Baha'is community overseas, they created this program so they can teach their Baha'is, colleagues and people on Skype. So what happened, I'm sitting there doing the orientation. I did see people from Sweden, the Druze, from the Christian area, the Christians, Muslims, and Ismailis. And I couldn't resist. I cried. I cried because this is the Syria I want. But I wasn't alone crying. There is many other students on Skype, they were crying because it's been for them a long time they didn't see each other. So all those women decided to learn. So we created this program, 60 hours with mediations, negotiations, governance. We teach them election so they can be ready, communication skill, leadership. And we have some partnership. Yesterday, the director talked about partnership, how important partnership in these programs. So we have with ICTJ, International Center for Transitional Justice Partnership, with Harvard Law School, they all helped us to create these amazing programs with my faculty in George Mason to teach those women, to give them tools to one day to be in the first row. We have centers in Turkey at the border, Rihaniye, Hatay. We have one in Amman. We have one in the Christian area, one in the Druze area. We have in the northeast, northwest. Unfortunately, today the decision to Dar Azzeh, they closed because they were bombing. So we were worried about the safety of our students. The knowledge we give to our students is kind of seeds for tomorrow. We know in the time of conflict we can't do so much. The only things we can is to give them knowledge, to give them tools. Talking about impact, I know I've been hearing all this about impact. What kind of impact we have? Proudly, we got women there on Skype from Syria in the UN General Assembly in New York talking about their situation. We have women on Geneva. We have now women delegation coming. We get the women to be more involved. And even when we put the women together in track 2 diplomacy or in the back doors with women from both sides, from the government side, from the opposition side, you can see how much in common they all have. They all want to have a ceasefire. They all want to stop the war. They all want to education for their kids. They go so far for education for the kids. I did see one in the Atme camp, one woman is teaching the children in a tent. And when I asked her about why you're doing this, she said, education is like a dignity for me, dignity for our children. So in every day, I see there is lots of women. They've been getting all the tools to work. So one day when somebody will ask me, why do you have 30%? Why you want to have 30% quotas? Do you have enough women qualified? I say yes. Before I finish, because I know we can have some questions, and I know it's in the end always people are tired. 2 weeks ago, in the Oscar gala, there is a movie called For Sama. It's been nominated for the documentary prize. The woman didn't win, but she was with her beautiful dress, and she wrote, "We dare to dream, and we won't give up our dignity." So today, standing here, and I'm sure the seeds we're going to give to all those women, they're going to be their dignity, their tools to have a better tomorrow. And today, the Turks and the Russians, yesterday they were in negotiation to have a ceasefire. It didn't work. And the President Erdogan gave another deadline. It's not going to work. And hope it will work. But for now, we still have those Syrian civilians, women, men, babies, are in the street in Idlib. They have no place to go, and the country is still at war. Thank you. There is a movie she wants to show us.
Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
okay? Like 2 minutes? Okay. Yeah. We're going to show you a little bit of a nice things so you can enjoy our graduation. Can we start? Yeah.
Inspiration to all the Syrian women out there. Hardworking, feminist, with a strong personality, yet with a sweet spirit.
And so for us, this is a dream come true. وبالنسبة لنا قد تحقق هذا الحلم.
There is some of the center we didn't show for security reason because they are all under the terrorist group control area or under the Syrian regime area. So we couldn't show them here.
Thank you very much. Please. Thank you very much for sharing so very emotionally hard process, but I think that a great process. So I think that there are a lot of learnings that could be interesting for many contexts that are in conflict today. So what do you learn about the capabilities and the values that we can develop at universities in order to have a civil society with this activism in order to construct peace in this context?
The most important things is, yesterday also the director, you mentioned ethics and principles. It's so important for us. Wherever is the other side, we need to use our ethics and values in our practice. And we need to push the student to be involved also in work can matter for the future. In my university in Washington, I have my American students. I take them with me for twice a year for a field trip, so they learn and practice and get involved with other civil society. Like our colleague said, it's so important to get them also involved. So ethics, principles, and the push for have more presence, for them to do more work at the field. Nobody's listening? Oh. I forgot what I said. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. There is any questions from the audience? Okay, so I have another question. So I would like to deep more on the program that you develop. I think that this is a very interesting program. And which kind of contents do you work on this? And which kind of capabilities do you try to foster in your students and the people in practice in this program?
We have 60 hours of teaching. So we divide them to have more negotiation skills and mediations, and especially skills for mediators. We do lots of role play, and we teach them how to analyze politics too, mediation skills, about listening, about reframing in peace building is so important, and understand the conflict, who are in the conflict. And we do also, like we have for them in the governance program, we focus on elections, so they learn and they will be in the future observers, so they can see. We have international law, we have transitional justice, we have communication skills. Regarding the transitional justice, what we did, I get a Muslim scholar to teach our Christian students. And in the same time, our Christian professor, he's going to teach in Idlib and others. I wanted to do this so it could be kind of national dialogue and directly. I got a woman from, she's Ismailis, from Musya. She's teaching them also communication skills, so I get her to be with a student from the north where they're all, like, did you see they're all covering their face? So we do this so we can have like 3 birds in, as a non-violent, we cannot say killing 3 birds in one, feeding 5 birds from one hand. Mm-hmm. So what we can do is trying to get all those people, like from multi-faith, multi-religion. I was talking with our Bosnian colleague. One of the gentlemen who was singing in the movie is a Bosnian priest. We took him with us to Rihani at the border. And those women, they never seen a priest before, because In the suburb of Aleppo, there's only Muslim Sunni in this area.
Yeah.
So we try also to do this interfaith program, plus national dialogue, plus mediators, and now, by the end of the year, we're going to have 400 certificates issued, and they're going to have a mediator, local mediators, Syrian women, who are ready to work for the future in peace in Syria. Remember, I just want to tell you something, and I didn't say it because I didn't think that I have time. We need to link the peace process in Geneva with the grassroots. If we want to have sustainable peace, we cannot have the politicians and others being alone in their ivory towers. So every time we have the Constitution Committee, as you know that there is a decision of the Constitution Committee, so we got 50 people from the government side, another 50 from the oppositions, and 50 from civil societies, and they're supposed to be neutral. So every time we have the meeting in Geneva in the Constitution Committee, we have one to go on Skype and talk with all the centers about what's happening in Geneva. The people need to know what's going on and who are the spoilers, who are the ones they don't want a solution. For us, it is important for the peace, sustainable peace in the future, to have people from the grassroots agreeing about this. And we learned this from Bosnia, that they try to involve people from the ground, but not enough. That's why now Dayton is like the constitution, and you have so much to change. So we're trying to learn from your mistake and not to do it. So that's why we wanted from the beginning to have more women, more civil society, more youth involved in the peace process.
Okay. And in the profiles that you have, of the people that you have in the program, are they also in the practice? Or which kind of profiles do you combine?
First of all, it's a program we focus on women. So we want to have... So sorry.
Don't worry. Okay.
Our profile most are for the women. And we cannot be discriminating like only women with university degree you can go, because we know it's the time of the war and so many people, they couldn't finish their studies. So for us, it's kind of opportunity for them to get a certificate from US institutions so they can practice. We were first, some of our board say, no, we want a university degree. In the end, we decided, no, we want people who are committed. So we want them to sit down and make an interview, see if they are committed to peace, committed to work in the public work. And we have now women, they are having high school, nurses, we have judges, we have women from the Constitution Committee, we have women from the local council. So impact, when we measure impact, how many of those women now are involved, real involvement in the peace process. We know in the time of the war, we don't have too much role to play. But we know the minute we have a peace agreement, those women, they're going to be ready to continue the work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.